Alright guys, now that we've gotten the worst out of the way, we can get right into the good shit. Here are my top 15 best releases of 2025. Starting off at number 15 we have Anaconda! I fucking adore the original Anaconda. It's corny, campy as fuck, but as a PG-13 horror film, I think it has really likable characters, a fun cast, and a lot of genuine suspense and tension. And while this film, as a reboot, certainly isn't that, I thought it was a lot of fun. Now I understand a lot of people were put off by the premise, this meta reboot where the original exists in this universe and the characters want to reboot the movie, blah 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 blah. Trying to rip off Tropic Thunder, some people said. I can get that comparison, but I don't know, man. Not only was this movie hilarious, not every joke landed, but otherwise I thought it was hilarious. I thought a lot of the cast had great chemistry. Paul Rudd and Jack Black were perfect together. Thandie Newton made a great return to acting. I feel like I haven't seen her in a hot minute. Same with Steve Zahn. I thought he stole the show in a lot of moments. And it may just be a me thing, but I don't know, with the way that these characters were all gushing over the original and all that, quoting the dialogue and all that, just showing how much they love the original. I don't know, man. As someone who really adores the original, I kind of felt spoken to as a fan. I'm not gonna lie. But I also respected how they didn't try to go all pretentious with it and try to say, oh no, the original Anaconda, no, it's a legit horror classic, one of the best horror films ever made. It can compete with the original Halloween. No, they totally acknowledged the cult status of the original and they lead into it. It was a lot of fun. Now, something I'm admittedly on the fence about with this movie is the body count. Now look, I understand that this isn't trying to go full creature feature horror film like the original. It's doing its own thing with its own tone, more self-aware, meta, comedy, horror. I was aware of that going into the film and I was totally ready for that. But one thing the original does have over this is that the cast of characters they had, there was not only growth with the characters and they developed over the course of the film, but the original wasn't afraid to kill off the main cast members. I mean, yeah, the main ones with J-Lo and Ice Cube, they lived, yeah, because they're the main leads. But the fact that there was a sense of camaraderie with the whole cast, they weren't afraid to kill some of these people off. And the fact that the core 4 main characters in this reboot, yeah, no pun intended, the fact that all 4 of them survived, that at least not even 1 or even 2 of them died, and that only the other side characters with the illegal gold miner characters and whatnot, they were the only ones to die, that kinda lessened the stakes for me just a little bit. I'm not mad at it or anything, because at the end of the day I still liked these characters, I still liked watching these actors work off of each other. It was just something I wanted to kind of point out as a little bit of a mixed aspect of the film. But regardless, you throw in a fun, self-aware tone, a fun cast, satisfying nostalgic callbacks to the original, as well as maybe a cameo or 2 here and there, wink, and you got yourself a fun, hilarious time at the movies. Total recommend. My Anaconda do. Number 14 is gonna go to Sinners. It may not be my favorite movie of the year, but I think it is genuinely the best made movie of the year. Everything down to the rich set of characters, the way that it's shot, I mean, Jesus Christ, the night scenes in this movie are gorgeous. A fantastic soundtrack that blends all sorts of genres, and of course, the acting. What a committed cast where every single person gave it 100%. Especially Michael B. Jordan, who knocks it out of the fucking park playing the twin brothers in this. Hell, the fact that they were able to spend half of the fucking movie on developing these fascinating characters and all of their backstories and all of their dynamics, and that I wasn't once, not once, looking at my watch thinking, Jesus, wasn't this supposed to be a vampire movie? When the fuck are they gonna show up? That shows you right there that you got a winner. If Ryan Coogler ends up winning an Oscar for this somehow, I won't even be mad at it because he delivered one of the best, most engaging, compelling vampire movies in a long-ass time. If you ask me, it's right up there with the likes of Near Dark, The Lost Boys, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Number 13 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a video gamer, so I only saw any of this through those cutscene, movie edit type compilations that people always do for video games on YouTube. And I gotta admit, while I did and still really do like Dial of Destiny, I like this better. I totally get why they wanted to make this officially canon with the movies. The way that it sets itself in between Raiders and Last Crusade, I think, is pitch perfect. All of the side characters here, as well as Indy's new love interest, are a lot of fun. Voss is in my top 3 Indiana Jones villains of all time. Loved this character. And all of the mystery, setup, and intrigue leading to the main MacGuffin being Noah's Ark itself, I thought was a great idea for a story. And plus, you get one of Tony Todd's final performances, and this is one of his best characters, in my opinion, that he's ever played. May he rest in peace. Number 12, Predator Killer of Killers. Badlands almost made my list, but I liked this one just a smidgen more because its whole format with jumping between time periods, showing us all these different, rich, interesting characters, I thought was a really cool idea for a Predator film. The only qualm that I really have with it, and it's not even anything major, is that I wish it was longer. Like, I really would have dug a 2-hour version of this just so I could spend more time in these different time periods with all these characters, even before and after they all converge together at the end. And dude, if they plan to genuinely follow up specifically where this film ends, hell the fuck yes! Welcome back, Dutch. Number 11, Weapons. Zach Cregger does it again and delivers another absolute badass, intriguing horror film with an interesting set of characters. The only thing that I was admittedly mixed on when I first saw it is the ultimate reveal with what's going on with these missing kids, why and how they went missing. But the more I thought about it, I actually don't mind the whole witchcraft angle with Aunt Gladys. Her award wins that she's getting for Best Actress, totally earned, totally well deserved. And the rest of the film with its structure is great too, with how each little chunk focuses on each of our main characters. And I didn't even mind how it cut off at each point. A lot of people who saw it said that it frustrated them, like, oh, it cut off just when it was getting interesting. That's the fucking point. So congrats, Gregor. You did well with Barbarian, and now you're officially on my list for directors to watch for in the future. Kicking off my top 10 is Wolfman. Now this movie got a lot of hate when it came out. For a lot of people, it just didn't feel like a werewolf movie. The characters felt very bland. It took too long for things to get going. I get all that. It's a matter of opinion. But as far as my opinion, I dug the hell out of this. I actually didn't mind the slow burn structure, seeing this dude's slow, tragic transformation into this creature. And I actually felt quite a bit of depth with the relationship with his family, like especially specifically with his daughter. They were clearly trying to take inspiration from The Fly, with how that film showed a slow, tragic transformation with its main character. And I thought it was really, really emotional towards the end. I thought the practical effects for the final transformation were great, and I genuinely felt the tragedy at the end when his wife chose to shoot him. Number 9. The Long Walk. Without question, the darkest, bleakest, most tragic movie of 2025, in my opinion, and yet it had some of the most compelling characters in any film all year. Some of the most shocking deaths I've seen in any movie all year, with a great mix of gore, as well as relying more so on the shock value of who dies, and at what point in the movie when they die, how they die, and what during the long walk causes them to start to lose their footing and get killed. And plus, you got Mark Hamill here giving one of the absolute, if not, in my opinion, his best performance outside of anything that isn't franchise or IP related. This has got to be like the best Stephen King adaptation I've seen personally since the It movies. Number 8. Captain America: Brave New World. Now, before like 90 to 95% of my subscribers unsubscribe, hear me out. This movie's not perfect. Like, not by a long shot. But all the stuff that I hear about it with how it's completely disjointed and just a total mess, I just don't see it. Now, I know that, not to say that it wasn't true, like, the reshoots did happen, they did rework this movie compared to whatever it was originally going to be, and the most admittedly that I could tell with it is the way that they put freaking Giancarlo Esposito in there. Like, it was reported that he was like a last-minute addition to this film through the reshoots, and I can admittedly feel that, if anything, as far as the structure. But I'm not mad at it, ultimately, because he did give a very entertaining presence in the movie. I'd say he was one of my favorite things in the movie. I mean, come on. It's Giancarlo Esposito. You know what you're gonna get when you cast him in something. He's a standout in things like Mandalorian and Breaking Bad for a reason. Come on. But talking about the rest of the movie, I genuinely think it's very entertaining. I like Sam's arc in here. It's not too much of a repeat of his whole arc in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that they evolve him just enough here to where he learns to be comfortable with not having the serum and just being his own person. I think they got that across in this movie just enough. And Thunderbolt Ross was especially really fascinating in this movie for me. He might just be my favorite character in the movie. I was not expecting them to try and give him a redemption arc in this film, given his past actions, because keep in mind, I'm not someone who knows the broader scope with like how things go in the comics and whatnot. I can only go by the movies. But I digress. Even the leader in this movie, with that character design that everyone hated on and how he was written, I thought it looked fine. Because same reason. I understand how it goes in the comics, how he looks in the comics, so I get why people would be upset. But once again, as just someone who doesn't know any of that stuff, as is, I thought he looked pretty cool. Just as a design, like on its own, I still sort of don't get what the hate was for it. I thought he looked pretty ghastly, and had they not spoiled all the Red Hulk stuff in the marketing, because, I mean, let's be real here, you watch how the movie is structured, it's clearly meant to be a twist reveal, like a holy shit type reveal with what he's planning, with trying to turn Ross into this monster and all that. It's clearly meant to be a reveal at that moment towards the end of the movie. But of course, I mean, I get why you'd want to market it that way, but of course, the marketing had to give all that away, even though I think there's totally a way you could have frickin' marketed it in other means, but I digress. And plus, at the end of the day, I just gotta be honest with myself. Another reason I really enjoy this movie is because not only are they at least attempting to bring everything together and put us into more of a one consistent narrative through line again, and tried to build to something like, hey, Doctor Doom's coming, the incursions are happening, Doomsday is happening. It's not perfect, but I do appreciate the attempt. We're on that road again. But compared to some of the worst MCU films in recent memory, like Shit and Blunder, Ant-Man Quantumania, where I really liked them on first watch, but after giving it time and then watching them again, I really soured on them, saw all the problems. They fucking suck. This is one where just simply with repeat viewings and seeing the story and the character development, this is just simply a film that doesn't piss me off. It has a story and character development that I really like. So it may not be perfect. Hell, I wouldn't even die on a hill and say that it's one of the overall best MCU films of all time, but I genuinely think it's one of the better post-Endgame MCU entries. Number 7. Megan 2.0. Now, on first viewing, and maybe a couple viewings after, I hated the first film. Really hated it. I was confident it was going to be one of my worst movies of the year. I just could not look past its lack of originality, because I really thought it could be something new with its specific premise. But, admittedly, I have softened on the movie quite a bit. I really have grown to enjoy it for what it is. Like, looking at it as it is and not what I wanted it to be. It has no originality, but for what it is, it's really fun, has characters you care about just enough, and so long as you watch the unrated cut, you get some satisfying enough kills. So going into this film, seeing the shift in genre they were gonna do, clearly taking inspiration from things like Terminator 2 and Aliens, with going for more of a sci-fi action lean. I get a lot of people were upset about that because what really drew them in with the Megan character was the slasher side of her, with her sassiness and how she would kill you after delivering a quip, all that stuff, blah blah blah. But just with the story that we got, how it advances the characters and shows where they are after the events of the first film, I liked it. I really, really liked it. In fact, I might prefer this to the original, just on a story level. I don't even mind that they redeemed Megan, because the way that this narrative and the way that this script presents her in this movie, they really commit a lot of time to getting you to buy into that she would switch sides and work with them to save the world, as corny as this whole premise is. And that's just how it is at the end of the day. Like, it's not this high up on my list because it's as good as the movies it's taking inspiration from, like Terminator 2 and Aliens. But no, it's just on an entertainment level, I liked how this sequel, despite the shift in genres, I like where they took the characters from the first film, how they developed Megan, and you got a really fun sci-fi, self-aware action romp that, much like how all the horror elements of the first film were really self-aware, this is a really self-aware sci-fi action romp, and I had a great time with it. I know it underperformed, but I really hope we get at least one more of these. Number 6 is Thunderbolts. If Brave New World made the attempt to put the MCU on a narrative path again, this film not only continues that, but takes characters like the Red Guardian and Yelena that I already had a great fondness for and gave them more depth, but it gave other characters like Ghost and John Walker and made me actually really care about them. And Taskmaster, fuck him. But regardless, this film not only had a great roster and a great entertaining story, but also had a great allegory for mental health in the film's third act. Now, there is a film much higher up on my list that you'll see real soon that I think has an even deeper, more engaging take on mental health. But make no mistake, this film's take on it was really incredible too. This has been a great year for comic book movies, but keep in mind, this is only at number 6. Kicking up the top 5 is, in my eye, the funniest fucking movie we've had in years. The Naked Gun 4. Now, it's no shock that comedy as a genre has been suffering for well over a decade, if not more. And this movie was not only the boost of adrenaline that the genre needed, but I respectfully think that it is even better than the original film. Liam Neeson was perfectly cast. He's able to emulate and perfectly capture the spirit of Leslie Nielsen's delivery and comedic style while not ripping it off or feeling derivative. He's still able to give it his own flavor. And even other aspects of how this movie was made are very hilarious too. It is both shot and acted like it's meant to be this serious cop crime thriller film, but everything that's going on is fucking batshit. And without even trying to come off as this emotional moment, the film's third act surprisingly has a really touching emotional tribute to Leslie Nielsen, again without even trying to be that. This film was just comedic genius. I not only hope that we get a sequel to this, but I genuinely hope that this means we're back to that era of don't give a fuck energy and comedy. Number 4 is my favorite horror movie of 2025, Halloween Aftermath. Now, I did do a big live stream a few months ago covering the release of this movie, but for those who still may not know, this is a high-quality fan film, and you can check it out for free on YouTube. It sets itself in the continuity of the newest Blumhouse trilogy, specifically in between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. 2 years after Kills, 2 years before Ends, covering that 4-year time gap in between the movies. And the main characters here are in this therapy group because they either were nearly killed by Michael Myers that night in 2018, or they lost people to Michael Myers that night. And the main character is someone who's being accused of making up some cockamamie story about how he was also attacked by Michael Myers just to garner some sympathy. And of course, we all know how it's going to go. But that's the most that I'm willing to give away in regards to plot, because I cannot recommend this movie enough. Even if you weren't the biggest fans of either Kills or Ends with how it wrapped up the trilogy, this is still worth a watch to not only see how it fits itself into the continuity, but it answers some of the complaints that people have had with some of those last couple movies, while not trying to replace those movies. Especially in regards to Michael Myers. The way that they portray him here is a nice balance with keeping continuity with how he physically ended up being in Halloween Ends, while forming sort of a bridge to show how he got to that point. He's still wounded in this movie after getting the beatdown that he did in Halloween Kills, but he's still imposing. And admittedly, it's maybe how I would have preferred to see Michael Myers in Halloween Ends, even though I love Halloween Ends, but I digress. They struck a nice balance here, and I thought that Michael was great. Oh, and dude, the fucking filmmaking on display here. If you didn't tell me that this was a fan film, I would have assumed that this was some sort of studio film. Like, I'd be like, oh shit, was Universal able to do one more movie? Because this film looks gorgeous. Like, probably on a filmmaking level, the best fan film period that I've ever seen. And then the fucking ending, dude. The way that this film ends is not only tragic, like, it genuinely got me really choked up, But the way that it ends and bridges perfectly into Halloween Ends, I can't compliment enough. So if you're a Halloween fan and just in general a fan of, well, fan films, this is absolutely worth a watch. Best fan film I have ever seen. Top 3 will go to the best season of television that I've seen all year. Disventure Camp 4, Carnival of Chaos. And as always, to those who do not know, this is a fan-made series on YouTube that is inspired off the Total Drama franchise, even down to the same premise, with competing in challenges, vote-offs, winning the $1 million, and as you can see, even has the same animation style. Now this show certainly got me invested when I first got into it. I think it had great characters, great animation, and great storylines. But after this season, I gotta be honest with myself, I'm starting to like Disventure Camp on a whole more than Total Drama. Now don't get me wrong, I love Total Drama. At its best, it is still one of my favorite shows, but let's be real here. Even in its good seasons, it always had an issue with either not paying off certain story and character arcs that really needed it, or anything that it did pay off usually had pretty bad payoff. Not all the time, but when it got bad, it got really bad. Fuck you, All-Stars. But I digress. I just think this show does a much better job not only at character dynamics, character development, but payoff. I'm not going to act like the show is perfect all the time at payoff, but even its lesser payoffs were never as egregious towards, let's say, any of the worst stuff in Total Drama. And in regards to this season, while my overall favorite character in Disventure Camp is not from this season, I gotta say that this season has the overall best cast of characters in regards to this. The fact that I liked every single one of them. Even the earlier boot characters, which, especially in like Total Drama, you're like, look at characters like Ezekiel, who are always the first boot. They don't have much depth. But in this season, even the early boots had a lot of depth. Even the villainous characters were given enough layers to them to where you understand where they're coming from and all that. It was great. There were great character dynamics this season. So if you've been feeling soured by Total Drama's failure to deliver as of late, then here's an incredible alternative if you've never seen it. Watch Disventure Camp. I can't recommend it enough. The show is incredible. This season is incredible. And it's the best season we've had yet. And runner-up for best release of 2025 goes to, and I swear I didn't do this on purpose, but number 2 is Zootopia 2. I adore the original Zootopia. It is still to this day my favorite modern day animated Disney movie. It has incredible characters, an incredible deep message that's able to be conveyed without beating you over the fucking head with it. So when I say that I've been waiting 9 years for a sequel, I mean I've been waiting 9 fucking years for a sequel. This was easily my most anticipated movie of the year. And keep in mind, I just wanted a good sequel that genuinely delivered on everything I wanted as far as fleshing out the worlds, fleshing out the characters, giving us new environments to make the world feel bigger and more fleshed out. And I didn't even need a sequel that was better than the original. But not only did I get all these things I wanted, but I got a sequel that, the more I've thought about it, I think is genuinely better than the original. It's a perfect companion piece to the original. First off, the way that they do flesh out the world is incredible. And a lot of the lore that they add to Zootopia, as far as who created it and all the stuff with the weather walls and all that, that was great. And the addition of the reptiles was incredible. And the character development was perfect. I love how they developed Nick and Judy's dynamic in this movie. They didn't pander to fans and give them the love story that they've been wanting for the past near 10 years. I mean, they're hinting at a romance. There's definitely that romantic tension there. But I love how organic the development of their relationship felt, with all the problems that they're having as partners and their hesitance to open up to each other at the beginning of the film, and the way that they eventually open up towards the end of the film. Especially with Nick. I thought Nick's character development especially was great, because we got hints in the original that all of his quips and his sarcasm is certainly a mask to more insecurities in regards to his childhood trauma that he's hiding deep down. And the way that they fleshed that out here, I thought was great. Judy's over-eagerness to solve a case, while her intentions are certainly in the right place, she puts the world far too much on her own shoulders, and she learns to ease up more. I thought that was incredible also. Certain other characters like Bogo and Clawhauser, fan favorites from the original, definitely don't have as much screen time here, but the story explains why, so it's properly motivated as to why. And let's be honest, the new additions we get in this cast are welcome additions. Paubert was an incredible twist villain. In my eye, even better than Bellwether in the first film. It's not like it's a contest as to whose reveal was better. I just thought that Paubert's reveal in this film was more shocking and more effective, and his motivations only add further into that. And Gary is, let's be honest, the heartbeat of this entire movie. As much as I love the character development for Nick and Judy, Gary is just such a lovable character. The performance from Ke Huy Quan really adds to that. The writing for the character is incredible. He just has this warmth and this wholesomeness to him that makes me really hope that he sticks around and becomes a recurring character in however many more installments we get out of this. Which, if they're going to keep making him this good, make as many Zootopia movies as you want. Yeah, no complaints from me. For a sequel that I've been waiting pretty much a decade for, I had no complaints. I adored it. Oh, and plus, in regards to Netflix's whole tirade against theaters these past few months, how no one goes to the theaters anymore. It's a dying age and all that. Netflix, kindly look at the box office for this movie and go fuck yourselves. Alright, here we go. So in regards to my number one, I had myself a real dilemma, because there are 3 movies that I've seen this year that had such a deep, powerful impact on me in regards to all the things I've been struggling with this year. My mental health, people in my life that were really close to me that I've lost. So these 3 movies, with the impact that they've had on me, I came to the realization that I could not possibly pick between any of these 3 movies to be my sole number one of the year. So here is my 3-way tie for my favorite release of 2025. Final Destination Bloodlines ties for best of the year because not only does it have the best cast of characters and even the best kills that I've ever seen in any Final Destination movie, but the film's whole angle about family, looking out for each other, especially the whole subplot where with the 2 brothers, how far Eric's character is willing to go to save his brother. It was a really emotional side of the film that I was getting really invested in. And plus, on a story level, I thought the whole twist on the formula with with death going through entire bloodlines one by one. I thought was an ingenious twist on the formula. Just enough familiarity there, but still enough freshness to provide a nice balance. And plus, the way that this film honors the memory of Tony Todd. I know this wasn't the absolute like the last movie he ever did, but let's be real. As far as all the characters he's played throughout the years, Candyman, Ben in the Night of the Living Dead remake, William Bloodworth in this franchise, as far as his most iconic roles, this is the send-off to Tony Todd as far as movies go that I'm going to remember the most. His monologue that he has right before his character exits off screen, I thought was very powerful. And yeah. And plus, it just makes me wish that the series would end here. I know that they've already announced they're making a 7th film, and it's not that I think that any further sequels would actually be awful, or that anything would probably particularly undo anything from this film. It's just the fact that Tony Todd was the glue in a way that held this franchise together, and without him, this series will just feel naked. I'll go see the next film, man. I'm hoping it'll be really good. I'm hoping that they'll have something just as fresh and entertaining, but there will definitely be a big Tony Todd-sized hole in future sequels. R.I.P. to a legend. We miss you. K-pop Demon Hunters also ties for my favorite of the year because it not only had an incredible roster of characters that are able to actually feel like characters and not mouthpieces for an agenda, an incredible soundtrack, like total bangers from beginning to end, and a really charming, infectious style from beginning to end. But out of any other film this year, even more so than Thunderbolts, which I mentioned earlier, what this film has to say about mental health on a deeper level hit me more than anything else this year. Rumi's whole character arc with how she finds out that she is half demon and that path of darkness she finds herself on, the downward spiral she's on, how she tries to fix it, leading to that powerful song in the third act, which, I'm sorry, this is what it sounds like, is the fucking GOAT of this soundtrack. It's agree to disagree, but that song just hit me more than any other song on the soundtrack because of its layers, what it had to say. It had me looking in a mirror with Rumi's character arc, with what she sees herself starting to become, and with the struggle that I had with mental health this year, and me similarly seeing how I was starting to lose myself and what I was starting to become. It was a real eye-opener. So this film was engaging from start to finish, and you can thank my friend Rob for pestering me for months on end to watch this fucking movie. I'm just kidding. Rob, if you're watching, I love you, dude. I'm just fucking around with you. And then there's Superman. This film also ties for my favorite of the year because out of any movie this year, period, it was just the most fun, lighthearted, heartfelt experience that I've had in the theater all year long. On a story level, as much as I like Snyder's interpretation, his darker interpretation of Superman and the DC lore, on a story level, it was nice to see something that goes back to that lighter-hearted, more bright, colorful, hopeful version of Superman that we all grew up with in the comics and in the Christopher Reeves movies. I loved Superman's arc in this. I know a lot of people were divided on the twist that they pulled with Superman's Kryptonian parents, sending him there to conquer instead of just sending him there to be an inspiration, like how the source material goes. But I loved it for how, on a emotional on a character level, how it challenged Superman's character and his moral fiber. It not only breaks him, but it really makes him realize, much like how his dad points out to him in that one scene with his human dad, how it points out to him like what you wanted that message to mean versus what it actually means, I think says a whole lot more about you than I think you're giving yourself credit for. Like that right there. This film's ultimate message of hope. Specifically how this film portrays the message. No matter how much you're beaten down, no matter how much the chips are down, there's always hope. Simple as that. And that's all I needed after seeing this movie. That's all I needed to be able to put myself back together. But going back to that one scene with Clark and his real dad. Now, don't get me wrong. This scene already destroyed me when I saw it in the theater. But then, I lost my dad a couple weeks later. And I sat down with my mom to watch this movie again. Because I wanted to show her this movie. And we got to that scene again. And it destroyed me even more. Because it just since losing him, that scene hits so much harder than it already did. But at the end of the day, it's not something that broke me again. It just served as a reminder, going back to the film's message, that no matter how down you feel, no matter who you lose, and no matter how worthless you may feel, there's always hope. Hell, quote another comic book movie, just because someone stumbles and loses their way, it doesn't mean they're lost forever. So, this movie, on so many levels, just hit. Just as a comic book movie, it's incredible, it's entertaining, and just really gets you invested into this reboot of the DC Universe right away. I cannot wait to see what James Gunn has planned for the future. So, if there's anything you take away from this, is that no matter what side of the coin you land on, as whether you're more Snyder or you're more Gunn, I think one thing that at least should unite us all is hope. With the way things are in the world right now, that shit that I hardly ever comment on, that's not stuff I like to talk about, but with the way things are in the world right now, I genuinely feel this was the type of movie the world needed right now. The world needs Superman.